Water is vital for just about everything in Arizona, for drinking, farming, and even building. And one of the biggest sources of our fresh water is the Colorado River. But just how much of that resource we get could change in the coming months. 7 states rely on the Colorado River, and it's broken up into 2 groups, the upper basin and the lower basin, which includes Arizona.
In exactly 7 months, the most expensive liquid in the history of the American West is going to vanish. Imagine waking up on October 1st, 2026, turning your kitchen faucet, and hearing nothing but a hollow, metallic gasp. For the millions of homeowners in Arizona, this isn't a dystopian film premise. It's the looming water cliff, a hard legal deadline where the current life support system for the Colorado River simply stops. We are standing on the edge of a bureaucratic abyss that could effectively devalue every square inch of real estate in the desert overnight. The tension in the air is thick enough to choke on. Behind closed doors in Phoenix and DC, the atmosphere is desperate, almost frantic. We don't have a plan B, one official whispers, knowing that a single signature, or the lack of one, could trigger a catastrophic 18% cut to the state's lifeblood. If you've bought property in Buckeye or watched the sprawl in Pinal County, you need to understand that the dirt under your feet is only worth what the water flowing over it allows. Right now, that flow is tied to a contract that is currently being shredded by legal teams from 6 other states who want Arizona to go dry first. You've seen the wildcat development stalling, the building moratoriums being slapped onto new permits, and the quiet panic in the eyes of local developers. The question isn't just about whether the taps will stay on. It's about who gets sacrificed so the rest can survive. A reality that only remains hidden when people stop tracing how the allocation of resources is quietly decided by staying subscribed. The silence coming from the state land department right now is louder than any siren. It's the kind of silence that precedes a total structural collapse. You see, the real estate market in the Southwest has always been built on a collective delusion, a gentleman's agreement that the desert would always provide. But as we crawl toward that October 1st deadline, that delusion is being stripped away, layer by painful layer. This isn't just about a drought. This is about a legal execution. Think about the wildcat developments you've seen popping up on the fringes of the valley. Thousands of families have poured their life savings into homes in areas that do not possess a 100-year assured water supply. They are living on borrowed time and borrowed buckets. Right now, there are homeowners in Pinal County who are watching their equity evaporate as the state prepares to pull the plug. When the water cliff hits, those peripheral properties don't just lose value, they become stranded assets. They become beautiful, stucco-covered monuments to a catastrophic lack of foresight. You have to ask yourself, if the state is willing to let these entire communities wither to satisfy an upstream legal mandate, what makes you think your zip code is safe? The conflict isn't just a dispute anymore, it's a high-stakes siege. Arizona is currently locked in a room with California and the upper basin states, and everyone is holding a knife. The upstream states are looking at Arizona's 18% allocation, and they see a luxury they can no longer afford to support. They aren't interested in your lawn or your community pool. They are interested in their own survival. This is the moment where the open loop of Arizona's future is threatening to snap shut. Every time you drive past a new construction site in Buckeye, you are witnessing a gamble of biblical proportions. The developers are racing to get the frames up before the moratoriums become permanent. It's a game of musical chairs played with multi-million-dollar investments, and the music is about to stop. We've seen this pattern before, but never with a resource this fundamental. You can survive a market crash. You can survive a currency devaluation. You cannot survive a dry tap. The psychological toll is starting to manifest in the data. We are seeing a quiet exodus of institutional capital. The big money, the firms that have teams of hydrologists and legal analysts on retainer, is already repositioning. They aren't screaming from the rooftops because they don't want to tank the market before they get out. They are leaving the retail homeowners to hold the bag. Are you sitting at a table where you don't know who the mark is? Because if you haven't seen the exit strategy, you're likely the one being left behind. We are entering a phase of high-stakes dialogue where the language of the bureaucracy has shifted. They aren't talking about sustainability anymore. They are talking about triage. Triage is a word used on a battlefield when you have to decide who is worth saving and who is beyond help. When the state looks at the map of Arizona, they are drawing circles around the survivable zones and leaving the rest to the vultures. The terrifying part? The map they are looking at doesn't match the one your realtor showed you. Imagine the conversation between a developer and a state official right now. We have 300 homes half built, the developer says. The official looks at the flow charts for the Colorado River, looks at the legal filings from the October 1st deadline, and simply shakes his head. Those aren't homes anymore, he replies. Those are just piles of wood and debt. This is the reality behind the curtain. The water cliff is a physical wall that we are hitting at 80 miles per hour, and we haven't even tapped the brakes. Why is the government still allowing certain permits to go through while blocking others? Why is there a sudden, frantic push to reevaluate groundwater pumping rights in the middle of the night? The answer lies in a document that hasn't been made public yet, a set of projections that suggest the 18% cut is actually the best-case scenario. If the negotiations fail, we aren't looking at a cut. We are looking at a total cessation of the Central Arizona Project's ability to deliver. The unease you feel right now, the tightening in your chest when you look at your property tax bill, is your intuition trying to tell you what your eyes refuse to see. We are living in the intervention period, that brief, flickering window of time where the disaster is guaranteed but hasn't yet been felt at the kitchen sink. People are still buying. People are still selling. But the smart money is watching the calendar. They are watching October 1st, 2026, like a countdown to an explosion. You're looking for a solution. You're looking for someone to tell you that the desalination plants will be built in time, or that the God pipe from the Mississippi is actually happening. You want to know if there's a loophole that protects your specific neighborhood. But before we get to the how of survival, you need to understand the true who of the betrayal. You need to see exactly who signed away your rights decades ago and why they are doing it again right now. The betrayal didn't happen in a single boardroom. It's a slow-motion heist that started decades ago and is being finalized as we speak. You want to know who is holding the pen? It's a coalition of legacy power brokers and upstream interests who realized long ago that the Colorado River was overpromised before the first drop ever hit the desert. They've known the water cliff was coming since the early 2000s, yet they continued to greenlight massive wildcat developments to keep the tax revenue flowing, knowing full well that the 100-year guarantee was a mathematical impossibility. How do we solve a crisis of this magnitude? The answer is being whispered in the halls of the Arizona Department of Water Resources, and it's a bitter pill to swallow. The fix is a radical, two-pronged approach that will change the landscape of the state forever. First, the state is moving toward a total groundwater lockdown. This is the answer to the building moratoriums you've seen in Buckeye and Pinal. The government is essentially preparing to retire thousands of acres of agricultural land, buying out farmers not to grow crops, but to keep that water in the ground. This creates a water bank that can be diverted to residential taps, a system whose fragility only remains unseen when people stop following how allocation decisions are engineered in real time by staying subscribed. It means the era of the lush desert lawn is dead, but it's the only way to keep the suburban dream on life support. Second, and more importantly for your property value, is the augmentation shift. Arizona is quietly negotiating a historic exchange agreement with California. Instead of fighting over every gallon of the Colorado, Arizona is offering to fund massive desalination plants on the Pacific coast. In exchange, California takes the desalinated water and leaves their share of the Colorado River in the pipes for us. It is the most expensive infrastructure project in the history of the world, but it is the only physical way to bridge that 18% gap. The answer isn't a miracle. It's a massive multi-billion-dollar pivot that will be funded by an inevitable spike in your utility bills and property taxes. The tap will stay on, but the cost of that water will become the new mortgage for every resident in the Southwest. The 100-year supply isn't gone. It's just being repriced to a level that only the prepared can afford. We are at a turning point where information is the only currency that won't devalue when the taps run dry. If you want to stay ahead of the water cliff and know which zip codes are being sacrificed and which are being saved, you need to be in the loop. I am tracking the legal filings and the hidden water maps that the state doesn't want you to see until it's too late. You can either be at the bottom looking up, or you can be the one who saw it coming. Don't let your investment become a monument to what used to be. Subscribe now, and let's navigate the dry season together.